My name is Laurie Butler Foley. I am one of 3 sisters, and we were all at Northampton School for Girls at the same time. I've heard that we were the only 3 at one time, but I'm not sure that's true or not. My sister Kim was a year older than me, and my sister Wendy was 3 years. And so I graduated in '65. My sister Kim graduated in '64, and Wendy graduated in '62. I lost my sister in February. She was 80, and she had dementia, but she was a character. And she had a story about Mrs. Candarella. We all know that Mrs. Candarella scared the hell out of all of us, but we learned more from her than I've ever learned. Mrs. Candarella, she was a tough nut to crack, but boy, was she brilliant. And so she was going around the room. Wendy's class had just read Moby Dick. She got to Wendy. Now, Wendy was like 5'1", 5'2", so almost the same size as Mrs. Candarella. And she got to Wendy, and she was mimicking Mrs. Candarella, you know, questioning her about Moby Dick. And Mrs. Candarella, pretending that she was Wendy, she said, "Oh, I know, I haven't read the Grapes of Wrath," or Moby Dick, whatever the book was. And Wendy piped her head up and she said, "Mrs. Candarella, I haven't either." And the whole class, including Mrs. Candarella, and she was a tough one to get to. She actually laughed despite the fact that Wendy kind of got her on that one. I mean, she was very intimidating, very bright, but you know, you wouldn't go unprepared. But apparently Wendy did that day, so yeah. I love the traditions. I love to sing. I was in all of the music groups, in the musicals with Williston. I grew up in a musical family. I loved everything about it. I loved singing the hymns in the morning. It's going to make me cry. It was just the Angelus bell just stopping, you know, and when in the middle, and you'd have to just stop and be quiet. I was fortunate. I was voted class president, which is a memory for me, not only in 9th, but I was voted again in 12th grade to be the class president. And I'm actually a really shy person. I don't know how I got up in front of the school at graduation week and spoke in front of all the parents, but I did. But that was a really nice memory. Of course, the people that I've met, that, you know, Laurie and Amy, and just wonderful human beings. And yeah, it's just, I loved it. I just loved it. At that time, I grew up locally. I was from the Northampton area, and the high school had triple sessions, and my parents would have had, you know, us going, 7, 9, and 11, but they wanted us to get a good education, and my dad went to Dartmouth, my mom she went to Russell Stage. So yeah, I came from an academic family. I'm a retired special ed teacher, so I do everything I watch Jeopardy, I read avidly, and I still have 2 students that I teach, one with Down syndrome and one with Asperger's, so I still keep, and they're both 29 now. I had them in high school, so I love books and all of that. I think that School for Girls gave us such a good start. You know, you're just a kid when you go there, and you don't know what's around the corner. And I ended up going to Ithaca College in upstate New York, and my sister Kim, she went to Sarah Lawrence, and Wendy ended up at UMass. So yeah, it's a very strong emotional place for me in my heart. And you know, I've come back for some of because I'm one of the few that still lives locally. I live in Leeds outside of Florence and taught in all the schools in the area. And I remember all the teachers. I have a really, really good memory for faces, and so it's fun to talk to my classmates and what do they remember, and what do I remember, what kind of differences do we have in our memories. And I have to say, I'll be really honest, I learned more at Northampton School for Girls than I actually did at Ithaca College, and that's not a down on Ithaca. By the time I left Northampton, I had been at the Smith College Day School, which is private, up to 8th grade, and then I went to School for Girls. So it's a little bit sheltered. By the time I got to Ithaca, I didn't quite have the, the education, but my writing and all of that, my strength in writing, and I love vocabulary and words, and I got all that from School for Girls. I mean, I learned a lot from Ithaca. I don't mean that unkindly, but my basics, were definitely taken from Northampton School for Girls. Unfortunately, social media, I'm not a big supporter of that. There's so many wonderful things that you can do, and the emphasis on everything is Hollywood and just looking perfect, and taking a walk at Childs Park in Northampton. I mean, there's so many other things, and I'm sad about. I have a couple of grandchildren, and I'm very happy to say one of them is 11, and he hasn't touched video games. That's another thing that's such a. He loves ball. He loves to be read to and read himself, and yeah, I'm not happy with the way. And of course, I won't even say the politics, what's going on politically, but it is a different time. I'm hoping that we'll get back to what our roots are and the things that really matter. When I went, we didn't have coeducation. I didn't have boys in my class when I was at School for Girls. And that probably would have been better. It would have gotten me more used to I didn't have any brothers. It would have gotten me more used to having boys in my classroom. And I didn't have that until I went to college. And so it was a little bit sort of, for me, it was something I wasn't used to. I think that where the social media is going and our fear of losing our democracy, and I'm terrified, frankly. I'm absolutely terrified about what's happening in our country. I don't know, we have to just do a lot of hoping and getting good people in and hoping that it'll all just blow up eventually, and it's got to blow up. It's got to blow up. It's just too tense right now, and I wonder how much this generation is, that focuses so much on how many likes you get or all of that, and are they looking at what's happening to their world? I have 3 grandchildren, and I want to leave a world for them that's a good world, and I worry about that. I do. I worry about that. So hopefully they have families that are, supportive and are, giving them the right things to stress, and focusing on reading and taking family trips and spending time and all the things that don't cost anything. I was fortunate that my parents were able to my family was in the florist business. We were rose growing business in Hadley. My grandfather started it in the 1912 area, and so unfortunately we didn't last because everybody started getting it, and the cost of oil killed us. But at the time, in the 50s and 60s, we were able to go to a private school, so it was good. And actually, one of my children went to Williston. I begged, borrowed, and steal to get her to go, and then my son went for a little bit. So 1.5 of the time I had them, we were able to go. So, and she had a really good experience here.